Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Title IX Insider. Today we have a very special guest. We have URI-Standers from the University of Rhode Island, and we are going to be discussing what they do as a group for their campus and also on social media, as well as looking at how compliance and prevention plays such a crucial role on campuses through this wonderful example of the programming that they have. And so today we have Keith and we also have Georgia. Would love for you all just to introduce yourselves and share a little bit about yourselves before we get started.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Sandi, and thank you so much for having us. My name is Keith LaBelle. I am the Deputy Title IX Coordinator for Outreach, Education, and Training here at the University of Rhode Island. I am an educator, an advocate, a professor, an ally, a strong feminist, and I've been in this field for over 20 years now. It is something I am extremely passionate about, and I really enjoy working with all the students that I've had the privilege to supervise over the last 20 years.
I'm Georgia. I am a senior at the University of Rhode Island. I'm the president of URI-Stand, not only, but also a survivor myself. I help coordinate all the interns for URI-Standers with Keith. We do a lot of education on this campus. I am a criminal justice and psychology major and hoping to go to the police academy next year and work in a career of law enforcement, crime scene investigation, and just do the best that I can.
Amazing. That's so great. Good job to you and kudos that you're about to graduate and head over to some police academy work. That's great. So as we begin, I just want to quickly remind folks out there to subscribe, like us, leave a comment, and we always look forward to comments in order to respond back. And so, Keith, we're going to just jump right in. I love the fact that you guys have won several awards, and there has been a big buzz about your campus and your work with URI-Stand, and would love just to hear a little bit more about what you do so that those of us that may not know fully all the work and wonderful efforts you guys have put out can become a little bit more familiar with it, especially for administrators out there listening that want to bolster their prevention efforts on campuses.
Sure. Well, it's been certainly a long road to get to achieve the success we've achieved to date, and we are privileged to have a nationally recognized program here at URI, and it's all testament to this hard work of students like Georgia. And we've had over 350 all-time interns with our program. We started as a Department of Justice grant, and I was actually in grad school at the time. I came to school here at URI as an undergrad. I was on the baseball team. I was the captain my senior year, and all the captains of all the sports teams had to go to a group that met on Thursday nights called RAM Choices, or the URI Rams. It was an acronym for Responsible Alcohol Management. And on those Thursday nights in this cramped little classroom in the athletic facilities, we had pizza. We talked about substance abuse issues and mental health issues. And one of the topics we talked about was sexual violence prevention. And the guy who ran the program said, Keith, what are you doing next year? And I said, Dan, I have no idea. I'm a communications major. What do they do? And he said, well, we just received this large $300,000 Department of Justice grant to combat violent crimes against women here on campus. We need a grad student to head it up and to coordinate this grant. We have two goals. We have to educate the incoming campus community about sexual violence prevention, and we have to start a peer-to-peer education group. And he said, you can give a good presentation. I think you'd be a perfect fit. You're a pretty good writer. You could speak in public. I think you'd be a good fit to head up this program. And I said, Dan, I know nothing about that. And at the time, I really believed in a lot of the myths and misperceptions around sexual violence. I certainly didn't get it as a 22-year-old graduate of the university and former baseball player. I said, Dan, this is great that we give this grant, but how many people are we really going to help? I've been here for the last 4 years. I've been at the parties. I've been at the bars. I've never heard of dating or domestic violence. I've never heard of sexual assault. Doesn't that happen in big cities? And he said, well, just wait. The first year you'll be educated, and then you'll help us to launch this program. So the first year I went around to 4 or 5 different conferences sponsored by CalCASA, the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and really had my eyes opened to the prevalence of this crime, the nuance of it, what it looks like in real life and not just on TV and in the movies. And I would say I still didn't totally get it, but I was much better informed. And by year 2 of my graduate program, it was time to roll this grant work out. And I started, and I'll never forget my very first presentation. It was a hot September day. I was nervous and sweaty. It was the 2 incoming freshman classes of URI 101. It's sort of an introductory class that all students have to take. And it was mandatory to hear me speak. So in my very first one, I nailed the presentation. It was interactive, and it was funny and engaging, and I got all my stats and facts correct, and I felt pretty good about it. And then 4 women came to me and wanted my help. And it became so much more real than just some statistic on a PowerPoint slide. It became really, really personal to me. And long story short, by year 2 or year 3 of this grant, we were the ones giving the keynotes at these CalCASA conferences on how to implement and manage a successful peer advocacy program. Very quickly, we implemented a class, which still exists today. It was a 3-credit, 300 level class. And as grant funds expired, due to the success of the program and to students like Georgia, who came before her 20, 25 years ago, we've been able to grow this program to have over 350 all-time interns who receive course credit to do sexual violence prevention work on campus and to really educate their peers and be out in the community and be the liaison between the Title IX office and the campus community.
That's so amazing. And CalCASA, I know, is stationed in California. They do a lot of great work. I'm originally from California, so I've worked with them and the rape crisis centers there. So I think that is such a phenomenal situation for you all to be the keynote speakers for their sessions. And then to have 350 interns. I mean, what is that like, especially in establishing such a great student advocacy group, where I know several campuses, I'm sure, are looking at this, admiring the fact that you've had this success and wondering, where do they begin? Where do they start? I know for us, Title IX Consulting Group, we always advocate prevention and having that dialogue and communication. So where would you all say campuses should start?
Yeah, that's a great question. And like I said, it's been a long road. Education, I believe, is the key to prevention. And I think education provided by somebody like Georgia is a lot more effective, and students will listen to it a lot more than somebody like me. So really having a strong peer group to roll out the messaging of the campus staff and offices like ours is crucial to the success of any program. We started, and I've been fortunate to have the support of the university, and, really having that top-down administrative support right from day one has been really helpful, just in the fact that we offer a class, a 300 level 3-credit class, because very early on, I recognized that I didn't get it. Even after going to those 4 or 5 conferences, I wasn't somebody who totally, for lack of a better term, got it. Until I started doing this work. And then, obviously I can understand it a lot better. And we can't just pull people off the street to do this work. So a 1-hour presentation is not going to educate people fully. I really thought that I needed to get to know students before I could tap them to join this program and represent our university and represent this mission, as powerful as it is. So we started this class, and if any school out there is listening, if you have the opportunity to partner with a communication studies class, a gender and women's studies class, a criminal justice class, human development and family studies, which are all departments where I've offered some variation of our class over the last 20 years, and it has taken different forms. That is the way to get students truly educated on this topic. And then you pick the students who are the most passionate about this topic. And the ability to give students course credit, and I don't pay any of my students. I've never paid a student, and I don't think people should do this for monetary reasons. I think people should do this work because they're passionate about it. Having credits doesn't hurt. Having credits honestly just allows me the ability to supervise students and delegate responsibility. But the ability to offer course credit is huge, and partnering with an academic college to make it more real life, both for them and for the students around campus, our audiences.
I would say confidently that the group of I-Standers that we have currently, we are not doing this for credit. Like Keith said, it is awesome to have the credit, but I mean, most of us, we have our credits. We're good. We have everything figured out. We've talked to advisors, but we're doing this strictly for the love and how much we all care for it. And it is hard work. We talk to a lot of people. We hear countless stories and educating on this every day and trying to get people to understand in class, in presentations, at like student orientations. It is hard, but we do it because we love it and we're like a family. We talk every day, we go over everything, we do this together. And no matter as hard as it gets, we have that constant of we know why we're doing this. We're doing something good. And if we have to educate 1,000 people for one person to be helped, we'll continue to do it every day.
That is sensational. And so for you, Georgia, are you part of that leadership in teaching the course itself? Is it the students teaching the students? Keith, I'm assuming you're in the room during the class also as a mentor, or are you the primary faculty? Like, how does that work?
So Keith is the primary faculty for CSV 302, which is the class. He is there every day, as are we. We have a group of about 4 TAs, and we sit in class. We talk, we incorporate conversation, we take part in discussions. Keith is at the front of the class going over. He has slideshows for every day. We have natural conversations that come up, and I've sat in this class multiple times. And I could do it for 5 more years because every time you get a new group of 25 students in a room, it completely shifts. There's no same conversation, there's no same thoughts, and it's just the discussions that get brought up. We all take part in it, and you learn so much from what other people are saying. And I mean, if it was just Keith and us having a conversation, we've had these conversations before, but incorporating all these new people from every single corner of campus, you hear so many more stories and like viewpoints that I would never have seen before, or I personally can't understand. And some people might understand different points than I do, and they might learn from me. And so just sitting in a room, I would say he teaches, but it's a group effort. Like we all take part in class and we discuss, and it's a very like open space. We go over like statistics, we go over everything, but it's not the statistics that we're trying to teach. We're trying to educate people to go out there and make a change the culture, change the idea that we have on what sexual assault is, sexual violence looks like, what it looks like in the media. And so it's less about taking exams and knowing the statistics and feeling pressure about getting questions right on a quiz or raising your hand and getting an answer wrong. But it's more about training these people to be able to go out and be an active bystander. And that's our main goal.
Yeah, and without the help of the TAs, the class just wouldn't be as powerful. They really give me validity. So I'm up there lecturing, and I teach 5 classes on campus, including the internship course. And it is, like I said, a 300 level, 3-credit graded class experience. But the TAs just being able to share their experiences and the work that they do, and then they help me in selecting the students that we want to tap and recruit to join the next incoming crop of I-Standers. So we have sort of rolling applications every semester. And then my students, in addition to TAing the class, they give all of the presentations in classes like Com 100, so a communications class that most freshmen have to take. Just yesterday, we had 4 different Com 100 classes. So that was over 100 students that were educated completely by my I-Stand team. So it's a really good opportunity to have people obtain the knowledge necessary to do this work. And then the following semester, they can go out into the community and do this work. And like I said, our course code has jumped around a little bit. We've offered it under gender and women's studies. We've offered it under criminal justice. We've offered it under communication and human development and family studies. As Georgia said, it's now under CSV, which is a community service course code. And there's about 11 different sections of CSV on campus, but ours is by far the most popular, and I think the most real life. People say that they remember this class for years. You know, it's not, as Georgia said, something you remember for a midterm or for an exam. It is lifelong lessons, and we cover everything from rape culture to sexual assault to date rape, drugs, dating and domestic violence, video voyeurism, human trafficking, and some of the international crimes against women. So female genital mutilation, honor killings, acid attacks, rape as an act of war. It's a pretty multifaceted class. We cover a lot of different topics, but the first semester tends to focus on the college experience and what people could see and how they could help out at URI.
Amazing. And then if they're in this course, I'm so curious and fascinated by this now. Are they the interns that go into the other classrooms to visit and also talk about the topics, or this is just like a one-stop shop for a course for those that are interested in it?
So it's essentially a one-stop shop for students who are interested, but it's also the prerequisite to apply to work with me as an intern. So,
Okay.
so interns have to first take this class. And, like I said earlier, I felt like I couldn't just pick people off the street to do this work and intern with me. I had to get to know them. There's a mandatory journal every Thursday that's confidential. It's only read by me, where people can share something. It's called an ITN journal, something they see in the news that relates to the topic we're talking about this week. So whether it be misogyny in video games or sexually explicit language in music that they listen to or domestic violence scenes in a movie that they watched. They have to write about something that they saw and then talk about their observations of it, how the news media portrays it, and how they felt about it. So it's an opportunity for people to vent in a journal style every Thursday. And it's also an opportunity for me to see who's taking this content seriously and who, quote unquote, gets it. And then from this class, we'll pick the best and the brightest to apply to intern with us as iStand team members.
Now, I know that originally this all began because of It's on Us, correct? And so is the curriculum based on a lot of the themes from It's on Us? I know you mentioned a lot of the themes already, but I'm curious about the curriculum itself. Do you just put it together each semester, or is it something that's already in place?
So it's been sort of a work in progress, and we've taught this class, back since 2002 when I was in grad school and we had that DOJ grant. But we have implemented a lot of the teachings from It's on Us. iStand and It's on Us actually started in the same year at about the same time. We are an official chapter of It's on Us, but because we had already branded ourselves and had our logo out there and people knew who we were, we decided not to rebrand and call ourselves It's on Us Rhody, and we remained iStand. So people know us as iStand, but we are essentially a chapter of It's on Us. We're very closely affiliated with It's on Us. I work very closely with Tracy Vichers. I think she's fantastic, and their programming is amazing. We use a lot of it and have implemented a lot of it, both in the class that I teach and in the presentations that our iStand team does around campus.
Very cool. A lot of folks are throwing around the word trauma informed nowadays, and it's becoming such a big buzzword. Um, Kind of curious as to how you all see it in doing the work that you do beyond just being a buzzword.
Yeah, that's a great question. And trauma informed is one of those buzzwords that's been thrown around, but I think it's really important to recognize that you don't know what somebody's been through just by looking at them. And it doesn't matter your gender, identity, your sexual orientation, where you come from, how old you are, what your race or religion is, your background. You have no idea what somebody's experiences are. So it's important to teach and to educate people from that perspective and from a culture of care. And I feel very strongly that this topic is not just a women's issue, it's a people issue, it's a human rights issue. And again, you don't know how somebody has been impacted or what somebody has been through just by looking at them. So we teach all of our education, whether it's a booth in the union, an event on the quad, a full semester class, or a presentation to athletics or Greeks. We come at it from that trauma informed lens and try to really support survivors, hear them, support them, and make sure we're doing everything they would like to see done.
Yeah. You know what I love about everything you're describing is it's long-term education to reach prevention. In my past, I've done multiple years where I was educating K through 12 systems, in particular first graders on sexual abuse prevention and in order to avoid abduction. And I would go into these classrooms, not one time, I'd go in for over like 2, 3 month periods of time weekly discussing things with these kids and then doing the pre and post test to identify what actually stuck in their minds, what they actually learned. So I'm curious, what is that metric that you might be using to truly understand that these folks are, which I do believe these students are understanding everything, but to kind of like gauge it, right? Like, what are they walking away with?
Well, you read the journals. talk about the change that you've seen.
I mean, I personally, I've been in the class and I walked into this class and I thought I knew exactly what to expect. I had met Keith prior. I knew the URI-Standers. I lived with one of them, but I wasn't a part of it. And I had never really, I'd seen the sticker, but I didn't really grasp it. But I was like, I know what sexual assault is. Like, I know what that looks like. I know what that is. Like, I know what domestic violence looks like. And I went into this class, and on the first day I walked out of that class, and I went up to Keith and I went, I have been so blind. And it just, the more you sit in that classroom, it's a class you're excited to go to. We don't have computers, we don't have phones. We sit there with a notebook and we just listen and we talk. And I know a lot of students will hear that in college nowadays and be like, I can't use my computer. But this was a class that I would go and I was just so happy to sit and listen because of how much you left the room with. I can confidently say I have never learned so much from a class, not only at college, but in my entire experience. And I would say this semester, reading the in the news journals weekly, it starts with people seeing things, and then the more that the weeks go, at the beginning, they're going online and they're searching up what's happening in the world. And it gets to the point where in like the fourth week,
I thought now.
and they don't look anything up. They see it. They go out to bars and they see something happening and they're like, this connects to what we're learning in class. Or they see something on the news and they write about it in their ITN and they will say, clear as day, I would not have known that this was a problem. I would have just been so blindsided to this and think it was normal. And we have them even going back in the past to, let's say, the Super Bowl and talking about ads from the Super Bowl, like the Carl's Jr. burger ad with Alex Earl. Why is she selling a burger half naked? What is the point? How does that correlate? And they bring up these things and they're like, I see them and I don't even notice that this is just rape culture in the media, and we're so blind to it and we don't realize how much of a problem it is. So like it's just the more education you get, the more they really start to get it and understand. And it's amazing for me to see because them commenting on it, I'm also learning.
And I think you said it correctly when you said it's about creating a culture, right? It's not a one and done, check the box, one-off presentation. It's really about creating a movement where people believe in this and they understand it and they fully support it. And whether somebody goes on to be the president of I-Stand like Georgia, or just has this education for their family someday, or to take with them for the rest of their college career. And whether they throw a sticker on a laptop or TA my class, everybody plays a role. I truly believe it is on all of us. As Tracy Vitcher's program says, it's about creating this culture at URI. And I think we've been pretty successful in doing that. And in terms of the metric, to answer your question, the very first day of class, I tell people it's more about unlearning the messages before we start to learn. And correcting misperceptions is a big part of what we do. And the first issue is to make people aware. And like Georgia said, as of right now, people are just talking in class. We spend the first 15 or 20 minutes talking about what people have seen on TV, in the newspaper, on ads, on social media, what they see in their own lives, sharing personal experiences. It just kind of flows and people start to really get it. And we can tell from those journals, and a lot of people share personal experiences and observations. It's not just, oh, you got an A, so you can join our team. It's you really care about this topic. And our biggest graded assignment for the year is an action project. So everybody has to go out into the community, pick a topic, write a research paper on it, but educate 25 of their peers about their topic in a trauma-informed way. They have to videotape it and submit it to us. They have to clear it with us, the topic. They have to meet with the TA. We have to see all their slides, and then they go out and educate 25 of their peers. And I'm very candid with my students that they can make more of a difference in sexual violence prevention than I can, or my entire Title IX staff can make in preventing sexual violence, because they're out at the parties, they're at the bars. And if 25 students in my class educate 25 others each, that creates a huge ripple effect where people at the very least know about us and know about the resources on campus and know what this crime looks like.
Have you seen the impact on the campus? Have you seen um, higher numbers of reporting? Have you seen maybe instances, and maybe Georgia, I mean, goes to both of you, but Georgia, I'm now thinking about you in particular. Have you seen behavior change because of the interns in the bars, and maybe some intervention or prevention discussions are happening where someone's behavior decides to, take a turn for the better, where they may have done something that could have caused them to get into trouble. So I'm very curious as to the impact on both ends, from the admin side and the student side.
Would say definitely as a student, someone who's out at these parties and friends with people on this campus. I mean, we see this sticker everywhere. It's on the back of cars, it's on water bottles. People know what I stand is. And I will go to the bars and I will have people approach me. They'll see me presenting, and then I'll go to a bar and I'll have someone come up and talk to me like, "Oh, you're the president of iStand," and we'll just talk. And the amount of times I've had conversations with people, whether I'm picking up my Dunkin' in the morning, or I'm going to the bar, or I'm just walking around campus and someone will be like, "Hi," and they'll introduce themselves, say that they saw the presentation, and we'll just get to talking and it builds a friendship. And it turns out that they need help and they just need someone to talk to and to be there and to listen. And I think one huge thing that this class teaches is how to listen and not to blame anyone and just to let them talk about something that they experienced, because we can't understand what someone has been through. And just having someone listen and not tell them what they need to do, but give them the resources that they are able to do something if they need to do it, but that they can just sit with us and talk and get their feelings out and realize like the impact it might be having on them in their life. And I've created amazing friendships through it. People I talk to every day, people that have graduated. I mean, me personally, I met Keith because my roommate was an I-stander and I went through something my freshman year, and my roommate was like, we talk a lot about this, but I think you should talk to Keith. And if I didn't have my roommate there talking to me and someone I was close with, I probably would have never approached Keith. He's an older faculty member. I just wouldn't have feel comfortable sitting in a room with someone I didn't know about something I didn't even feel comfortable talking about. But my roommate joined me and we sat down. We had a 3-hour conversation and I had like breakthroughs. It had been 2 years and I told my parents, I opened up to my parents about what had happened a week after speaking to Keith. And I was understanding my behaviors and I was like, okay, what happened to me is not normal. I shouldn't have to sit with this by myself. And we started meeting weekly. I took the class. I went in thinking, oh, this has happened to me. Like, this will be hard, but like I know about it. And my mind was blown. And I really had, we call it an aha moment of just, wow, I really have just been floating through this and I don't truly get it. But you have that aha moment of this is everywhere and we see it everywhere. And I just kept doing things with all the I-standers, became like a family to me. Keith and I, we try to do everything, all the presentations, we put it all together. And truly doing this and being able to help other people has helped me, myself, and help me heal by able to like go out there and talk to people and help them if they need help. So it's really just, it is a ripple effect of people on campus just being out there and talking and creating these friendships and these bonds. And we kind of path away towards Keith and people can meet with him but feel more comfortable. So
That's
Yeah, we've
great.
definitely seen our reports go way up. There's so many and there's so much anecdotal evidence of this culture really building and growing, and Georgia's a prime example of it, and just her involvement in this program. I will share one anecdote with you. One of the athletic teams here several years ago called me on a Sunday. The coach called me and said, "Hey, Keith, a group of my players came to me about one of our recruits, and this recruit was like a 5-star recruit. He was, a really highly touted prospect. He was going to play as a freshman, and they said, we've heard bad things about this guy, and we don't want him to represent our team." And none of the women who had been negatively impacted by this student athlete wanted to go forward with a case. but the coach essentially said, you're not going to represent our team. You're not going to play. You're not going to wear our uniform. We need to let the process play out, but your teammates don't think you represent our culture here at Rhody. So you're not going to play. So it's stories like that. And I could give you thousands of stories. I can't violate confidentiality, obviously, but the number of reports we get, the number of students who are standing up and doing the right thing behind closed doors, at bars, at parties, is just and my students hear it, right? My students are the face, they're the eyes and the ears of our program. And, as Georgia said, people feel a lot more comfortable talking to them than talking to us. So if anybody out there can start up a program like iStand and involve students, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of supervision. Supervising the 25 different interns every semester is like teaching 25 different classes. But it's rewarding, and it is probably the most effective way to educate a campus community. It's not just a one and done presentation. It's an ongoing, multifaceted kind of micro doses of education all over campus in different, methods, rolling it out different ways, having events about dating and domestic violence, having events, cookies for consent. We sold bracelets on the quad the other day. We do a variety of different things and show up in a lot of different places and try to spread those ripples as far and wide as we possibly can.
Nice. So are those activities from the 300 level course that you're doing that, or is that from your department?
So that's from iStand. So all the iStanders have to do weekly office hours as part of their internship. So there's 25 students in iStand that receive course credit, and they have to do 3 hours a week of education. And some of it is pre-planned, like the COM 100 presentations, but some of it, they have to go out and do informational booths. We have a presence at Welcome Day. We have a presence at orientation. Before student athletes even take a class here, they have heard an iStand presentation from us above and beyond the online presentation. We speak to Greek 101. My iStand members speak to every single chapter of Greek life. We basically go all over campus and do events and educate as many people as we possibly can. And that's all done by the iStanders.
Wow. Wow. So can you tell me a little bit about like that first year developing it for those that are interested in developing something like this? Like what are just like maybe a bullet point of like, what are those initial first steps to really take?
Sure. Well, like I said, I think the key was the class and identifying people who are passionate about this. And then at the very beginning, we only offered one credit, and it was a pass-fail credit to join us as interns. They were originally called peer advocates. I was the primary victim advocate for 10 years on campus. Once the grant funds expired, we started a program called Violence Prevention and Advocacy Services, and that still exists here today. It's run out of health services, but at the time it was run out of the Women's Center on campus. But having that base, that education, and selecting student leaders that are diverse. So at the time we were pretty athlete heavy. Right now we're pretty Greek heavy, but we had the captain of the football team, the starting center of the basketball team. We had a couple baseball players just because I knew them and they were my buddies. And we had a few sorority women. We started with 8 members. By year 2, we had doubled our members. We were educating, we were applying or advertising the class to educate people, but then having those 8 students go out and give those peer-to-peer educational sessions. And more people said, I want to do that. How can I get involved? I'd like course credit. I want to add something to my resume, and became interested. We said, oh, you got to take the class. So very quickly, the class filled up. And by year 2, we had doubled the number of interns. By year 4, we had to cap it at 30. We said, we can't take more than 30. We don't have the space. We don't have the room for more than 30 interns.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID decimated our program. We didn't have the ability to meet on campus or to offer this class. So we went from having like 26 iStand members to 0. So because of the help of Georgia's roommate, the current crop of iStanders and the crop that just graduated, we've been able to build our brand and our program back up, and we're back up to 24 active iStand members currently.
Very cool. Now, I know it's October, Domestic Violence, Dating Violence Month. What are some of those activities, for that 3 hour a week that students have to do? Are there ideas coming up or any creative thoughts out there to share?
Yeah, so we have what we're calling the I Stand Week of Action Against Domestic Violence. And so we have a Monday through Friday schedule of different things we want to do around campus, get education out there. We want to do a movie showing, such as The Hunting Ground. And this will be, we're still deciding on the exact movie. We were thinking about It Ends With Us, because it is a very popular movie, but it also shows, like, it depicts domestic violence and how you like they might say like you can leave, like you can leave, but it shows how hard it is for someone to leave, and it really depicts that. And for that to be put in a movie, I watched it for the first time and I was like, I've never seen this in a movie before. I feel like we don't talk about this, about how loving they can be, and it isn't stationary, it switches and there's different motions to it, and that's why it's so hard for victims to get up and leave. So we want to do something like that, a popular movie, and like have people sit down and watch and, oh, this is domestic violence. Like this is what it can look like. And then we also have certain booths. We have These Hands Don't Hurt, and we want to do a henna booth for that. And one of our I-Standers does henna. So we're going to have a booth on the quad, have people come up, they can choose designs, and basically just pledging that we stand with survivors and victims and we're here with them and our hands don't hurt. Like we want to be there for you. Like we're there to hold you. We're there to be with you. Different booth ideas as well. A little pledge booth similar to the These Hands Don't Hurt, just taking that pledge to stand with these people and give them anything they need and just hear them out. And then a silent witness walk. So this will be a walk around the quad, probably, just to get as many people out there. We've done it before. Many sororities on campus, they do certain things such as this. And we just want to get on the quad, get a huge group of people together to just show people that they have support. And we are noticing this on campus and we're here for everyone. And I think just one person going to that walk, not even having to say that they've been through something, but to see the amount of people that can show up and support them on a campus that they go to, it can mean so much to someone. So just like little things like this every day. And I would say the most positive thing about iStand, we don't just do monthly events, or we don't wait until like something gets bad, like the red zone, the first 6 weeks of college. We don't just do education during that period of time or during spring break when sexual violence crimes might rise. This is year round. And we obviously wanted to give a week for domestic violence awareness, but we do this constantly and we're always educating it on it. We have domestic violence presentations that we give. We have booths year round. We work with the DVRC, which is the Domestic Violence Resource Center in South County near us. We've done events with victims there and done off-campus yoga with them and had a professor from this own school. And Salzardo, she is incredible here. We just presented to her COM 100 classes yesterday, but she came and worked with us in the DVRC to do yoga for these victims and survivors. And we created a GoFundMe to raise money for them. We raised over $800. We're able to put together these care baskets with notes and words of affirmation. And so when they came in, there was food and water and these baskets for them to take home. And we just did yoga and talked all day. And like to see these like women sit there and have breakthroughs and just notice that people care about them. It's something we just don't focus on for the month of October, but it's year round. And that's our goal, is that this isn't just a month, this is the entire year.
No, as Georgia said, we just do year-round events every week, but we really want to educate the campus community what domestic violence looks like. Everybody's kind of tied up in this law and order. What's an arrestable offense, and views it through that misperception of it's only physical violence or it only happens here. And we do this event called the Red Flags of DV and have people come and give examples of what could lead to an abusive relationship, like telling you what to wear, telling me where to go, tracking my mileage, all these different red flags, and recognizing them non-physical aspects of power and control and having it taken away. And, we try to do it in a trauma-informed way, but that is one piece of advice that I would give other schools listening is you have to be real with students and be honest and have real, raw conversations. And of course, take care of students who have been negatively impacted by this. But you have to be transparent and authentic as well and talk about these crimes in a real way. And we share victim impact statements from students who have been negatively impacted by dating and domestic violence as a way to make it real and for other students in our class to recognize, hey, this happened to somebody who sat in the same seats as me. This is pervasive. This is an epidemic, and it's on all of us to make a difference. And just because I'm not part of the problem doesn't mean I can't be part of the solution.
Mm-hmm. I know that in the past, when I've worked with campuses, I've always focused on October or April events. When
Yeah.
we do like the full month, I've always made sure that there's something every single week. And then, of course, you have the red zone, orientation, and then end of the year and the summer trainings. So I think this is brilliant, having students involved where the students are out there helping also to get the word out, that awareness out there, so that the outreach is really hitting hard to the students and the employees. And so I mentioned employees because I'm wondering, where do the employees fall into all of this? Is there outreach to the employees as well?
There is, yeah. And I try to have my I-Standers do as much of that education as possible because employees would much rather hear from Georgia again than hear from me. But yeah, I speak to the athletic department staff every year. I try to offer as much outreach to staff and faculty members as I possibly can. But I would say the majority of our work is really student focused. I say the employees are a tougher audience than students.
I truly appreciate and thank you both for sharing this program. I think it is a sensational program. I see you all online, and I saw that there is a direct connection to the It's on Us. And I love, Keith, that you completely refer your language really is connected to It's on Us. Everything that you say it is about us, what we are doing to impact those around us and to influence the change that we're supposed to be fighting against rape culture. And that mentality is amazing that it's just part of you. And I see that. So it's very impressive. So for
Thank
today,
you.
I think today our podcast will just conclude. If you guys have a few final words that you want to share about your program or any last minute advice for administrators out there, I think that'd be a great closing for this.
I would just say that this program has not only affected me personally, but it's just brought some of the most amazing people in my life. And I will remember this forever. The things that I'm taught, I will take into my career in the future. And everyone I meet, I talk about it. And it's something I can't stop talking about. I bring it into every part of my life, every part of my day, because it's really something that sticks with you. And I've never learned so much, and it's made me a better person, and I've been able to do so much with it and to help so many people. And I would say having this opportunity for students on campus can change so much. It can make your campus safer, but it helps people feel like they can come forward with their stories and they feel safe and they feel like that they have people to go to and to approach, because when you go through something, it's hard enough to tell the people you're close to. But random faculty members that you've never met before, that you just email, hey, I need to talk, and you show up in a little room, it's so hard. But having someone that is in your classes, or you go to the bars with, or you have mutual friends with, it makes it so much easier. And it's just it's the best thing I've been a part of, and it's changed me and so many people that I care about.
Yeah, to echo what Georgia said, it's really rewarding work, and it's something that I never thought twice about, to be honest, 20 years ago when I was a college student like Georgia, but now I am really passionate about it. And I think sexual violence prevention is an epidemic, and it is more widespread than people realize. And people have so many misperceptions that need to be corrected. And all due respect to all the attorneys that I work with in my Title IX office, because they're all attorneys, I don't think sexual assault or dating or domestic violence is a crime that's going to be solved with laws. or by campus policy or police officers or the court of law. It's going to be solved by people at a grassroots level. I think it's a hate crime similar to racism, and racism shouldn't be on people of color to solve, just like sexual violence prevention shouldn't just be on women to solve. I don't think it's a women's issue. I think it's a human being issue. It's a human rights issue. And it's on all of us to make a difference. And like I said earlier, just because you're not part of the problem doesn't mean you can't be part of the solution. Einstein said it best, I think, when he said, the world won't be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything about it. And I am committed to doing something about it, and as are all my students.
That's amazing. And, Title IX Consulting Group, also, we would love to be a great partner with you all. So I'm already having some ideas about that. But just thank you again for being on this podcast with me today. For those of you out there that are enjoying this, remember to like and subscribe to us, leave a comment. And Keith, Georgia, thank you so much for your time today. Everyone out there, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.